people will ask the question, is there really a difference between religion, organized religion, and spirituality? And if so, what is it? I can see where there might be a little bit of confusion because there are similar ways that people do different types of practices, but there are some really fundamental basics of the way things work that are very different between the two of these, and I wanted to go over these with you today. So the very first and foremost, most important change or difference that you will notice between spirituality and a more organized type of religion is that there are typically rules versus no rules. So a lot of organized spaces have rules of how things are done. You know, you'll go over things like, well, the Bible says A, B, C, and D, and this is the rules of how things go, and you apply by those rules or you're out. Like, that's what it is. There's no negotiation. It's, you know, it's this way or the highway, and that's what it is. And with spirituality, the thing that I really like the most is there are no rules. You can tailor things to be exactly how it is that they work best for you. You're doing a spell or something, there's always room for negotiation, right? Like you can substitute an ingredient, you can add something in or take something away that doesn't feel good for you. The only thing I think I would say where you get into trouble with the no rules is you have to be careful, because sometimes there are some more spiritual type religions that have structures set up a certain way. And if you're taking too many things from too many different pieces of different structures like that, then it gets a little bit funky because you're overlapping. But for the most part, you know, you can really be creative with your spiritual process and your spiritual journey. And you can very much tailor it to who you are, what you need, with what resonates with you, as opposed to having to follow rules that maybe go against values or beliefs or just even places or things that you feel comfortable with. The second set of differences we're going to find between organized religion and spirituality is that you're going to have a group mentality versus an individual practice. So where a more organized religion might have things where you do things together as the group, and that's the thing, it's more of a community. The spiritual practitioner, you can be in the community and part of groups, or you can be in the community and practicing by yourself. You know, your learning and your knowledge and your advancement is based on how much personal work you are doing. It doesn't matter if you show up to the group all the time or not, and do your homework or not do your homework or work on anything. It's really about how you're advancing as an individual. And it doesn't depend on what the other members of the group are doing. You can think of it like a group project in high school where one person's doing all the work, but everyone still gets the same grade. That's not how it works in spirituality. You're only advancing and progressing and making progress and leveling up if you yourself are doing the work. Now, you can ask for assistance from groups and other things like that. Joining things will help you understand concepts in a different way. You might learn new techniques, things like that, but it really is up to you as to how far you go, versus the religion where it's like, hey, you do the thing with the group and this is the thing and everyone gets the same grade for showing up. Like, that's the deal, right? So it's a little bit different. This also goes into another point where kind of fixed versus changing beliefs. So when you have something that's organized, religion-based modalities, what you're going to see is the beliefs are the beliefs, like I mentioned before, right? Like the Bible says A, B, and C, and that's the way it is, right? For whatever religion you're going into. There's rules in place of how things work and operate, and if you don't know, you check the guidebook and you go back to the rules and they will tell you what you were supposed to be doing, and there's no deviation from the rules, right? Like, you abide by what they tell you to abide by. With spirituality, the cool thing is your beliefs can change and you are allowed to change your mind, which is a really great thing, because I think too, over the course of time as human beings, you're not the same person you were when you were 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. We change, evolve, and grow. And with that, we have a different way of thinking about things, processing information, and we're allowed to let go of outdated beliefs or thought patterns that aren't serving us in order to, grab onto something that works better with who we are at this moment in time. The last difference that I see between the two is sort of external activities with organized religion, right? Versus sort of an internal awareness that you have in the spiritual community, right? Or the spiritual practice. So what I mean by that is that usually organized religions will have certain things that you do as a group, and that is kind of like required or expected or part of the program. Church on whatever day of the week it is that you want to go is usually something that is traditionally accepted. Sometimes people will have different gatherings for different holidays or Sabbaths or things like that, and there are within those gatherings a certain set of rules or protocol that is followed in order to celebrate that. You can have things like Bible study or socials. You can have church or religious socials. Sometimes they have gatherings, so it's more of that sort of group mentality. It's like everyone's kind of coming together who is similar and kind of doing that thing. Now with spiritual activity, it really is more about that inner awareness. You can go to group stuff if you want, and that does help in a variety of ways. I do group stuff also as well, and solitary practice. So I think there are both positives for each one, but really what's happening is what's driving your growth is your inner awareness of yourself and finding out what you need and who you are and which direction you need to be going and which practices are right for you. And it's really an individual sort of journey that you're on, because no one knows you the way that you know you. You have your own unique set of skills and issues and problems and, positive points and, things that you need to learn. There's all sorts of things within you. People are so inherently individual. No two people are the same. We have a lot of similar experiences, but even that is different because we process all of that in a different way. That's kind of a big difference, with a lot of organized religions. It's not always necessarily tailored to every individual person. It is more for the group, and hopefully you fit into the group and that works for you. But I think sometimes when people don't, it can be very disheartening and challenging and confusing. So I do like that part of spirituality quite a bit, because I really do believe everyone is so unique and different in their process and experience. So those are some of the main differences that you might see if you are trying to figure out, like, what is the main difference? Why would somebody prefer one over the other? I've seen all sorts of crazy combinations of people. So, I don't feel like you have to choose one or the other. As long as what you're doing feels right for you, I think that's the best way to go. Hopefully that was helpful, gave you some interesting things to think about. Until next time, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day.